Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, we're going to start today on a more somber note. We found out on Thursday this week that Clive Revill, the voice of Palpatine in Empire Strikes Back, has passed away at 94 years old.
Yeah, he was replaced actually by Ian in the special edition. Or actually, the 2004 edition.
The
yeah, not
2004
the special.
DVD Empire Strikes Back, replaced his voice with Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah, because in 97 we hadn't had the prequels yet. So even though you could have still figured out it's the same guy, but yeah.
A fun fact about him, he also was the voice of Alfred in Batman the Animated Series.
Really? That's one of your faves.
It is one of my faves.
You always talk about how much you enjoyed watching
So it cut a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, 94, he didn't live a long, I'm hoping, happy and enjoyable life.
All right, I want to talk about John Boyega. Recently, I found a couple articles talking about a request he had when he went into the last of the sequel trilogy movies.
The Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah. Yes. He was at Emerald City Comic-Con, and he said, I was doing a lot of falling in Star Wars. So I was like to JJ, can I be on my feet a little bit longer? There was a level of growth from The Last Jedi to The Rise of Skywalker that me and JJ had spoken about adding. I was like to JJ, I'm sick and tired of eating dirt, JJ. I know how to move. My lightsaber skills are undeniable. Get me out there on the field.
He does. I mean, he's on the Star Destroyer there at the end doing his thing, so he does have a lot of kind of action there towards the end, but other than that, I don't know that he's really doing tons in that movie.
Yeah, he says, I remember JJ coming up to me and saying, John, we've got you, we've got Poe, we've got Chewbacca running through corridors, taking out these stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
And that's when I said, yeah, that's enough. That was a nice moment and something for me to revel in.
Yeah, he does fall and shout for Rey a whole lot.
I mean, that's a meme, isn't it?
It is Rey, the meme, yeah.
Rey. Yeah. He does run around. He falls. He's tripping. He's laying on the ground. He's constantly getting up.
Yeah, they really did his character dirty.
Right.
He is like a sidekick, like a goofy sidekick when he should have been a serious character. The ex-stormtrooper who has this extensive military background and kind of maybe no personality in a manner of speaking, who develops one as the trilogy goes on. Instead, he comes out of the box like making jokes and you got a boyfriend, cute boyfriend, and all these. Yeah. It's like, what is going on?
Like, he had a very interesting arc. You know, we're seeing a First Order trooper. He's going to give up on the First Order. He's going to join the rebellion in a matter, in a manner of speaking. Yeah. And then they just made him a joke. And we've talked about this 100 times, I think, that they did his character really dirty. And then I was thinking today, it kind of reminds me, did they do like some weird stumbling sidekick stereotype type thing that reminds me a little bit about what they did to Ahmed Best when they cast him as Jar Jar Binks?
I don't know if I would go that far because Jar Jar was like just a total klutz and that was just weird.
Right, but there is some comparison to be made here.
He is like this weird kind of funny side. He if you had to compare the sequels to the prequels and pick what character is related to what character, I could see Finn being the Jar Jar.
Which is horrible.
It is horrible because he's supposed to be, or I would think, if you told me you had this stormtrooper who had been brainwashed and since a child he's been in the First Order and then he escapes, what would he be like? I do think there could be a sense of like childlike wonder because you're discovering things maybe you never got to.
You're seeing a different side of the universe, a side with hope and love and emotions that you probably don't really go through as a stormtrooper, as someone who's supposedly brainwashed into this militant lifestyle.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be like the goofball, I don't think. I don't know how that happens.
And it's just sad that some of the, like, you think that they might have learned something from the prequel trilogy with the treatment of Jar Jar Binks that people don't always, I mean, he's obviously Ahmed Best. We all love him. Yeah. But the character of Jar Jar was not well received, and then they did this goofy sidekick in Finn when he had no place being a goofy sidekick. Jar Jar was a Gungan. Their species is a little more naive in some ways, and he is a little more out there, I guess you could say.
They're a warrior people.
They are, and so are stormtroopers.
Well,
they are also a warrior people who have one-off goofballs.
I was just trying to defend the Gungans for a second there.
I know. You fell for my trap. A warrior people and stormtroopers, and they both have really weird one-offs that are more of your comedic character, more of your klutzy character. It seems like a really poor choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think the character's just wasted all around.
All around.
and he's kind of alluded to, and we saw that first trailer where he's got the lightsaber and he's going against Kylo, and we're like, oh, we got a Stormtrooper Jedi.
Yeah.
Cool, we've done it before in Legends, and it's awesome, and here we're going to do it, and like, nah.
Exactly, it's such a shame. You know how many people showed reactions online seeing Finn light up that lightsaber? There were so many reactions of how cool it was, how great it was, how excited people were, and they're like, well, that was a joke. He gets to be a kind of a bumbling character stumbling through. And
What's the screaming the Rey thing that really sticks out? I don't know that I think of him as like
even
the
in the
bumbling,
second
falling.
one, what's the first thing he does? He gets tased by Rose Tico after walking around in a suit leaking Bacta.
Yeah, I try to, that middle one in particular, I try to block out.
Then he goes to a planet where he doesn't understand the capitalism. He doesn't understand the horse, the Fafnir.
Yeah.
Oh, feel sorry for the Fafnir, they're slaves. Well, he was a brainwashed stormtrooper. He wasn't there by choice.
Yeah.
He should have understood that almost better than she does, because we have no, like, backstory context of why she is so concerned about that. He almost should have been the one who was like, I can't stand people having to live like this.
Yeah,
because he was raised to do a job just like these poor Fafnir were.
Well, I mean, there were the slave children, too, which they kind of just gloss over.
We don't care about them.
That was so strange that...
We don't care about the slave children. It's about the horses here.
Yeah, as soon as they released them, Rose is like, no, it was worth it. But what about the children? I mean, I'm all for animals, and, you know, I don't want to be cruel to animals and all that kind of stuff.
But they overlooked the children.
But it's children? You're like, we'll leave them behind, but we got the horses out.
We thought it was bad when JJ accidentally didn't even consider the fact that Chewbacca should have been hugging Leia after they found out about, you know...
At least he acknowledged that was a mistake.
Yeah, he acknowledged that mistake. Yeah. Rian Johnson, it's about the horses, man. We didn't even think about the fact that these children were being oppressed.
I still love the fact that if you... do your research about the planet Canto Bight, or that's the city actually, but that's an inhospitable planet. It's like Las Vegas essentially, where it's in the middle of the desert. The whole planet is just kind of this desert.
Artificially.
Yes. So you release these Fafnir.
Where are they going?
Where are they going? They're easily going to be recaptured because they have nowhere else to go but this little section where is...
But if you released the children... They might have actually gotten picked up maybe by some patrons who were on the casino planet going, oh my gosh, you poor souls. There might have been charitable people there too.
Sure.
Not everyone who goes to a casino is a rotten scumbag.
You could make the argument that if they try to free the children, what do you do with them? Because you're not going to bring them back with you to face the First Order. But at the same time, it's children, slaves, and you're like, we got the horses out.
Could have at least put the kids on the Fafnir and let them go together.
I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that.
But they just made so many failures with Finn. He is a trained military warrior. He's not just a janitor.
No, was his kind of like side job, like all the troopers. Well, that was
kind of like they all have rounds where they have to clean or probably serve in the canteen doing kitchen duty. But he's not the janitor. They made him in way too much of a joke, and I just couldn't help but seeing some parallels between that and Jar Jar Binks, and I find that disheartening.
Yeah, he's not just a janitor. People kind of misunderstand. I mean, he's on Kylo Ren's kind of First Order squad troop, you know.
He's been on Starkiller Base working.
Yeah, he's not a janitor. That's just what he has to do alongside being the trooper, because they probably don't have a janitorial staff.
Probably not. Why have a janitorial staff when you've got way too many stormtroopers who aren't doing anything right now?
That's true.
But yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about today, because I heard what he had said about wanting to not be laying on the ground, not wanting to stand, that he's a competent warrior. That it's sad that he even had to point that out.
Yeah.
To JJ Abrams, who was the one who turned him into that. And then Rian Johnson just let it go.
Well, Rian Johnson really...
He let everything go, yeah.
He didn't know what to do with Finn. He just totally side-quested him with Rose.
Side-quested him on a pointless side quest, served no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah.
Other than to feel sad for some Fafnir for a minute.
Yeah, that should have been Finn and Poe doing a mission of some sort to try to save the fleet, and then succeeding. I don't know.
Or at least finding some loophole to help.
Something other than going and doing the mission for nothing, and then Poe being demoted and
maybe finding out that their radio signals were jammed and they had to go out and actually find help.
Yeah, there were a lot of other solutions besides what they did with them. But anyway, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. So now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of Finn's role in the sequel trilogy. Did you find him to be a kind of clumsy, bumbling idiot? And is that very unfortunate? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.